Hello seamsters. In this video I want to show you something I made. I didn't shoot any footage of making it, and I know that makes for kind of a boring video. I don't know if LearnMYOG is going to make a video so along of making this. I don't think he has one on his channel, so I don't know. I'll probably make another one. I guess if there's enough demand, maybe I'll make a video. But so this is a LearnMYOG ultralight wind shirt, I think is the name of the pattern. And I've had this pattern for like 2 years, and I've had this material for about the same amount of time, and finally got around to making it. So I just wanted to show it to you, explain what I use it for. But most importantly, I want to tell you about a couple of mistakes I made and why that's not really that big of a deal. First off, I guess let me throw this thing on for you. So this is made out of, I think it's 1.6 ounce Hyper D that I got from Ripstop by the Roll. This is the same fabric I used on one of my running vests as the backpack pocket section. So this has a hood, it's got a little brim in it and pretty good wind protection. This fabric has a durable water repellent coating on it, so it should be mist proof, maybe light rain proof. It's not a rain jacket, but it should be pretty adequate for cold, misty conditions. Fun feature about this windbreaker is there is a pocket built into the hood, and you can stuff the entire jacket into that pocket. And that will give me an opportunity to talk about what I think is a mistake I made. I'm honestly not sure. Tim makes a really good pattern, so I'm going to assume that this is my goof up, but I haven't really looked into it. So the pattern has this opening and a flap that is supposed to cover it, and I don't know how I messed this up. I really haven't gone back to review the pattern. I don't know if I sewed something in incorrectly, but it just doesn't close very well for me. Like, full confession here, I hate following a pattern. It's very, very rare for me to follow a pattern. I much prefer designing things myself, and that usually takes longer and is not as good in the end, but I just enjoy that process, and I find trying to follow a pattern to be just a lot more challenging to me mentally. It's just not as exciting and fun. So I begrudgingly do it for LearnMYOG and a few other things because I like the end result. But anyway, so I guess what I'm trying to say is I probably wasn't paying as close attention as I should. And that's not that big of a deal. I stuff this in here, and then this goes into a pack or somewhere. It's fine, it doesn't matter. I wish I would have done a little better job there to make it close correctly. So if I make a second one of these, I'll try to pay more attention next time. There are at least 2 places on the hood where I sewed in a wrinkle. There's one, and there's another one. I don't know if that's showing up. Yeah, it looks worse in person, but I don't think anybody can tell when I'm wearing the thing. Probably the biggest mistake I made was the alignment on the zipper closure. You can see I got that pretty lopsided. This stitch line doesn't line up very well. It's just kind of sloppy. Actually, I've got some fraying here I gotta address. So, I would say I'd give myself a C+ maybe on my execution of the pattern. Here's a mistake that I made that hopefully you can learn from. One part of the process for making this was to determine the length of the zipper and then cut it to that length. And when I initially did that with this zipper, I cut it off and the slider was on the end that I cut off. And I thought, well, I've just ruined this zipper because how am I going to get that back on backwards? This is a separating zipper, so you can't put it on from this end the way you normally would. Fortunately, I bought 2, so I had another one to make the jacket with. Well, I'm not going to take this off and do it again because it took some doing, but I cut off the zipper one side slightly longer than the other, and eventually I was able to get this Vislon slider back on. I don't know if you could do this with all styles of zippers, but with the Vislon, it did work. So if you make that mistake and you only have the one zipper, if it's a Vislon zipper at least, you might be able to save it. It was not easy. It took some time for it to finally go on. So maybe give it a try. The pattern is a raglan sleeve style. If you, like me, didn't come out of the womb knowing what a raglan sleeve is, it's, I don't know if you can see it on, I just made this shirt, it's also a raglan. So instead of having a seam that comes over the shoulder, the shirt sleeve joins at an angle to the front and the back. Helps if I have one in multiple colors, and I don't, but you can kind of see that diagonal seam down the shoulders is typical of a raglan design. And those are much easier for a beginner for making clothing. I'm told. I haven't tried making an actual sleeve before, but someone asked in a comment recently, because I had made my running shirt from the same pattern. This is a thread theory pattern for this shirt. I made a raglan sleeve for my running shirt, and the commenter asked if that was to make wearing backpack straps, or the running vest straps that I wear, more comfortable. The answer is I don't know. It might actually be more comfortable. That wasn't on purpose. It wasn't why I made it. I made it because it was easier to make. But that might actually be a good point. It might actually improve comfort because you don't have a seam on the top of your shoulder. It's just down here. So anyway, but that's what this is, a raglan sleeve. Pretty simple other than that. There is a gusset here. I think, I didn't read, if you get this pattern, which I recommend if you want to make something like this, read through it entirely before you start doing anything. I did not do that. I think this side gusset, I don't know how you can see this, but there's a thin gusset here. I think you can omit that if you don't put in pockets, which is what I did. I didn't bother with pockets on this. I think you can make this one piece and eliminate the gusset, but I didn't read that until after I put it together. So yeah, the pattern has a couple of options for pockets. I think there's a zipper pocket and a flat pocket, or just an open pocket. It's a couple of other options. I don't remember. Oh yeah, there's like, you can put a cinch on the hood. There's several different things you do to make this as complicated as you want. I needed it very simple. So the reason I finally made this is I was doing a 50K last weekend in North Florida, and the temperature at the start was 44 degrees Fahrenheit that morning, but then it was going to warm up to like 80 degrees later in the day. So I just needed something to, hanging out at the start, and for the first couple of miles, I probably could have taken it off before it started running, honestly, but I wore it for a few miles and then just stuffed it into my pack. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. If you've been watching this channel for a while, I love LearnMYOG's stuff. If you're not familiar with LearnMYOG, I'll put a link in the description so you can check their stuff out. But great patterns, even for a simpleton like me who really doesn't like following a pattern. It's pretty easy for me to follow along. So it's a great place to start if you're wanting to do something that you don't know how to make on your own. So anyway, hope you found that helpful. Thanks for watching. You guys are awesome. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, keep it up.
And you guys too.
Woo!
Nice work. Thank you. Good job.
Great job, honey.
Thank you.